Like you said, on your body, it's a little bit easier now that you're not working as an ER nurse, because there's a lot of physical labor involved as an ER nurse too, and you're constantly running around.
I hated moving the gurney. That was the part I was like, why? I would move a 500-pound patient. Like, you have to do it alone. That was the part I hated the most. Like, why do I have to move the gurney every time? To MRI, to CT scan, to the 5th floor, to the 6th floor? Like, why?
Like, if you compare your pay from your previous job as an ER nurse to now working as a psych crisis nurse, what is the difference?
I cannot compare where I was 3 years ago to where I am right now, but financially, knowledge-wise, skills, and so many things.
What was your starting salary when you started working there?
So as an extern, it was $25 an hour, and then as an RN, it was $33 an hour.
Okay. Do you remember roughly like how much you were bringing in every 2 weeks or every week?
So as an RN, I think after taxes, it was roughly $4,000 every month. After taxes, insurance, 401k, everything. Yeah.
Okay. Were you still living with your parents at this time?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, that's awesome. You got to save all this money.
We had to share the bill because we came together, so it wasn't like I was just leaving. So we had to share everything.
See, that's how you know you're Nigerian. Because are you still living with your parents?
No, I just got married.
Okay, all right. Okay, so now let's walk through that. Okay, so you're working as a nurse now. Did you meet your partner there in your job?
No.
How did you meet your partner?
On Instagram.
What? Did he reach out to you on Instagram or did you reach out to him?
Of course he did. I'm Nigerian.
Okay. Does he work in the field?
He works in healthcare, but he started as an IT help desk for a health facility.
I see.
But now he's a compliance associate. So he's like back in the office and just compliance.
And does he live in Arizona as well?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it was easy, yeah. And I kind of knew his parents, so it wasn't a like far relationship. Like I didn't know him at all. I knew his parents, but I didn't know him, so it was easy to get to know him at that point.
So now, what are you doing? You said you're working as a psych nurse. You were working in the ER. How did you transition into psych nursing?
I just applied, and then based off my experience as a BHT, like I said before, so I was a behavioral health tech, which was like your CNAs on psych units. So that's what they called them. So that was how it was easy for me to get the job. So now I work psych crisis, which is like ER, but psych. So you know how in the ER you have like psych units? Yeah. So I work like psych crisis now.
So is that just an extension of the ER that you were already working in?
No, it's a whole different facility. This one is purely psych. So patients come in psychosis, patients that the police picked up on the road, they bring them in, homeless patients, substance and drug abuse, patients who are intoxicated, new onset psychosis, like any psych crisis, they bring them there, we stabilize them and ship them out to inpatient.
How would you compare working in the ER versus working as a psych nurse? Because it's a huge difference.
It is, yeah. So I would say physically, I was more tired in the ER than I am here. Because here, the BHTs, bless their soul, they do pretty much all the physical work. We, the nurses, are like the head of the shifts, like the shift managers, if that makes sense. Although we have like a non-nursing administrator, but everything still has to go through our table, get approved, and then there's no provider at night, so we have to call the provider on the phone. There's on-call, there are tele providers, so that's how we communicate with them. So basically, we do the nursing assessment, intake when a patient comes in, ask all the questions. That's if they come in A&O times 4 enough to answer questions. If not, then we just do assessments based off what we're seeing, and depending on their acuity, if they need injection at that moment to stabilize them, we do it. Seclusion and restraint, verbal de-escalation, and all that good stuff. And then once that's done, then we pass out like routine medications, blood draw in the mornings. If they need to be sent out, we have to do a TB test before they are sent out. And then the shift is mostly calling, report for when a patient wants to go out, receiving report, receiving new patients, admission. Is I'm busy all through the night, but not physically busy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You said this is a completely separate facility. Is it in a hospital or is it just psychiatric facility?
It's just a psychiatric facility, yeah.
Okay. Because the way that I know it here, at least in where I'm at in Sacramento, and how I knew it back in New York, is that usually these patients that have mental health problems and they're acute mental health problems, they come to the ER first because they're brought in either by ambulance or somebody calls 911 and says, this patient is acting like a maniac, please do something about it. They'll bring them to the ER. We stabilize them enough to then transfer them to an outside facility or transfer them to an inpatient psych unit within the hospital. So, but you're saying maybe the case that you have a patient who's in crisis who just goes straight to you. And I've never really seen anything like that.
I think Arizona have more mental health cases than most other states, if I'm not mistaken. Because when I was in the ER, we also received patients, like we get calls, suicide attempts, this, that, and stuff like that. But until I started working here, before I knew that this was actually the right place to bring them to and not the ER. So I think generally in Phoenix, we have like 2 major psych crises that you take patients to when they have problem. So I think people would take them to the ER if it's closer, like the cops would take them to the ER if the ER is closer than our facility, or if they just don't know. So, but we're the right place to come to first after I have done the assessment and I, given all the medications and we've done everything and we think it's more medical than psych, then we send them to the ER.
Okay, so now what is your day-to-day like besides, the patient care side of it? Because in the ER, what were your shifts like? Like how many days a week were you working? How many hours a day were you working versus now?
In the ER, I worked 3 days a week, which is basically the US standard. It was self-schedule. So, and you had to do one weekend or the other, like 2 weekends in a month, right? But here it's just specific schedule. So I work only Tuesdays, Wednesday, Thursday, all through the year. I don't do weekends. I can only do any other day I choose except I pick up. So it's also 3 days, 36 hours, and you're entitled to at least 1 hour break here. So 15 minutes first, 15 minutes second, and then 30 minutes. But in the ER, I didn't take no breaks at all.
Man, see, this is one thing why I always tell nurses just move to California. We actually take
I know, you always say that, yeah. They'll be like, oh, you have to take your break. But how? There's no resource nurse, there's no float nurse. How do I leave 5 patients and go take a break?
So, and how long have you been working there now?
The psych?
Yeah.
9 months now.
Okay. In terms of your level of satisfaction, how would you rate this compared to the ER?
I'm satisfied here more.
I believe, in my opinion, because I've compared it to like several other specialties that nurses can get into. Like if you work PACU, if you work ICU, if you work med-surg, if you work in any procedural unit, if you work in a clinic, if you work as a school nurse, like all of those are lower stress than working in the ER. In the ER, it's just nonstop. Your head is constantly thinking about things.
Yes.
No, nonstop, right? Like Monica, she works in a tele floor. I used to work on a tele floor. I have friends who work med-surg. I have friends who work in the ICU, and they actually get to sit down at least, even if it's for like 20, 30 minutes to talk to each other, to charge. It's hard to get that in the ER.
I don't even know if I knew people's names. That was how busy it was.
And we're hated on by every department. Like everyone hates us.
Yes.
Because nobody wants to receive a patient, and we're the ones sending them the patient. And then we can't say no to the patients that come through our doors. We have to constantly keep seeing them, right? So it's extremely stressful. And like you said, on your body, it's a little bit easier now that you're not working as an ER nurse, because there's a lot of physical labor involved as an ER nurse too. And you're constantly running around.
I hated moving the gurney. That was the part I was like, why? I would move a 500-pound patient. Like you have to do it alone because they're always short-staffed.
Yeah.
Like that was the part I hated the most. Like, why do I have to move the gurney every time to MRI, to CT scan, to the 5th floor, to the 6th floor? Like, why?
Yeah. So, like, if you compare your pay from your previous job as an ER nurse to now working as a psych crisis nurse, what is the difference?
$10 more.
Oh, $10 more. Wow. Okay, so you were getting paid. You said like 33 an hour before.
Yeah.
Now you're making 43 an hour. That's pretty decent. Because usually in many places, the psych nurses have a lower rate than the ER nurses or the ICU nurses or the acute care nurses. And is it because of the facility that you work in that they just pay a higher rate? Or is it because psych nurses in general in that area get paid more?
I think in general, Arizona psych nurses get paid more.
That means you guys are really dealing with a high level of psych patients, mental health patients.
Yeah.
Right.
And we have a high turnover rate for staff too. Like nobody likes it. Nobody wants to do it. So yeah, maybe inpatients, like, the patients are a little bit more stabilized, but psych crisis, that's like ER psych, like nobody wants to do it. So I think Arizona just have more mental, I don't know if to say more mental patients or like they put more money into mental health than floor nursing inpatient. And definitely the 33 was because I was just starting. I believe every year it was supposed to grow, and if I had more experience, maybe it would have been more than that. But comparing the same experience, like this started me at 33 and this started me at this. So
but did they take your experience in Nigeria into account when they gave you that starting salary?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I did put it in my CV, but I think the mistake I made was I added those other jobs I mentioned I did during the like 1 year 6 months period I was trying to take the NCLEX into my resume. So while you're looking at it as a recruiter, you're definitely going to see those first before you turn the back of the resume and then see them. So I think so now I try to like redo my resume and take out those stuff and add my Nigerian experience. But I always try to tell myself during the interview, but then I don't know if it's too late. They just tell me, oh no, it's not US experience, so it doesn't really count. So it didn't count at all. Yeah.
Okay, so you said that you've been there now for 9 months or so?
Yes.
You make $43 an hour. You work 36 hours a week?
Yes.
Okay, so what do your expenses look like at the very least? Like, is your cost of living a lot more now because you're living outside of your family's house?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Because now we're two. So it's just I and my husband, and we share the bills. But in my family, I had both my parents and myself. So it was like the bills against 3 people. So now it's like the bills against 2 people.
And are you guys planning to have any kids?
Yes.
Okay. How many kids do you want?
Maybe 2 or 3.
Okay, let's talk about your social media stuff, because you said that you have a YouTube channel where you started like trying to show people what it's like to move from an international country like Nigeria to the United States. Like, why did you decide to start that channel in the first place?
Because when I was doing mine, I didn't think there was much information online. There was only one video that helped me, and that was like 4 years ago at the time I was doing my process. Definitely a lot of things have changed, and that person just stopped the YouTube channel. So there was no update or anything. So there was really lack of information. There was a lot of information for UK because there was a lot of migration from African countries all over the world to the UK. But the US is just kind of discreet. The process is definitely more expensive. It takes a longer time, but pretty much I know a lot of people want to move here at last because nursing here is much better than it is maybe anywhere else in the world. So that was why I decided to share the information to make it easy for people to access.
Do you get asked questions in the comments and just make videos out of those questions? Because that's typically, sometimes I'm like, okay, these people are giving me a lot of content in these comments.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a video about it.
Yeah, that's why I do that. That's why I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and people don't realize that it's a lot of work to make these videos on YouTube. They think it's super easy, like, oh yeah, I'm just going to point the camera at myself and start talking, and then it's going to be a successful video, when they don't realize how much work is required in the background.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a few more questions about like your experience. In terms of like the crime rate, because a lot of people ask, is the United States really as dangerous as they show on TV? Like how would you like portray the United States now that you live here?
I live in Arizona. I will talk about that. To be honest, it's not the way it's on the TV at all. I think I also made a video about the crime rate, because I also had a lot of people reach out to me. Oh, I want to move to the US, but the gunshot violence going on. I'm like, if you want to move, just move. Like, no one is pointing a gun to your face while you're walking on the street. Like, I know stuff happen here and there, like gunshots in schools and all that, but it doesn't happen every day, I believe. And I mean, in the same school, it doesn't happen in the same school every day. It's pretty much random. So far in Arizona, I live in the suburb, so most of the crime may happen in downtown Phoenix, and I only see those on the news. But also, there's crime everywhere. There's crime in Nigeria. There's crime everywhere. So it just seems pretty much normal to me. The only difference is the fact that, I mean, everyone is allowed to have a gun here, which makes it kind of scary. The shocks were like the road rage. I saw a lot of that in the ER, where like I didn't even know the meaning of that until I came here. Like, where people are just driving and get themselves into a car race and just bring out a gun and shoot each other. Like, that was weird. So I saw all of that in the ER, and that was pretty scary. But I've been here 3 years now, and I haven't even heard a gunshot.
So what are your plans going forward now, right? You're working as a psych nurse. Do you ever want to go back and get your psych NP?
Yes, so that's my next plan. I'm just still researching for a good school, and how long it's gonna take me. And with all this DNP and MSN thing that's going on, like, I'm just trying to make my decision correctly. But hopefully I should start next year.